Hi, welcome back. What we wanted to do in this episode, since we've been doing a lot of work and not a lot of updating, is catch you up on the last 2 years of work we've been doing in the engine room, kind of where things stand, and kind of what's next to get us back in the water and actually get us moving and start our cruising. So, with no further ado, let's get into the last couple of years in the engine room. One of the biggest changes we had to do in the engine room was get rid of these old 6D batteries. Actually, I had made this change before. We had some old 8Ds in there that were bad, but now it was time to really update the battery system. I decided to go with Victron and Epoch batteries and really transform this whole area with a new inverter charger. We never had an inverter before. So this is a recording I did back probably 2 years ago now on the batteries, and I'll let you kind of listen to it.
Here's the second project of the day. This whole area and this very useless workbench needs to come out so we can design a whole new area for the house batteries and also all my new electronics.
So as I mentioned in that short video, this was a day we did a lot of demolition. We actually had the through holes changed there as well. And you can see this whole corner was just kind of a mess. But the first thing was to get rid of everything, and then actually went through a series of design using some software, which basically I ended up throwing out some of that layout design, and really just started doing it on the back deck and seeing what was going to work. So I have a short video on that now.
I want to give you a quick tour of the new battery area for the house batteries. I think I'm pretty much done building. I'm going to be painting and then bringing it downstairs for hopefully it all fit. It should. But let me just kind of give you a layout. And if you're familiar with a 43 to Fever, what I'm looking at would be when you walk into the engine room to the right side, port side, there used to be a small workbench and things. So this kind of fits in that corner. What's going to be down here is two Epoch 460 amp hour batteries. There will be a room for actually a third if I so need it in the future. So it is kind of future proofed. Up here with this tiered system, I'm going to have all my main battery switches. Behind here will be my links input, shunt, and links distributor. And then in the back, on this back wall, is going to be my Victron Quattro. So I'm trying to make use of all this space with kind of tiering, because if you look kind of around the side, you'll see where the hull goes, and it's deeper here, a little more narrow up there. I'll also have room on this wall and probably some other places for my Servo GX and other components. The reason this back is open here is I have two through holes for my bilges, my forward bilge and my aft bilge, or my engine room bilge. So I'll still be able to get to those and shut those off. So a little tour just in the construction process, and we will next see this when I'm painting. I don't think I'm going to do time lapse. I think they're just a little boring and I don't feel like setting up the cameras. But next time you'll see this, it should have some paint on it.
Well, no paint yet, but you can see the install, some final mock-ups, and these set of pictures are basically the initial install. So there's some paint, but had to do some adjustment. Did finally get everything to fit. It's amazing. The multi-tiered level did help out quite a bit. See some of my Victron stuff. I'll do a full video on this whole setup once I'm finally done. But looking good so far. We've been using it. There's my batteries. A lot lighter than real lead acid, but That's a quick update on that project. Off to the next. The next part was really updating the sea chest through hulls. If you don't know, defeavers use a sea chest, whole different topic. Put it in comments. I'll talk about it there if you want. But the old Seacocks were just very old and crusty. I did some cleanup, not that it really helped them work any better. So finally, I ended up having the yard replace my through holes. It's just something I didn't have time to do. So I had the yard go ahead and do it. So you'll see some pictures here of that process of the yard going through the sea chest, cleaning it all out, putting the new through holes in. Came out great. Unfortunately, still have not been back in the water yet to test them, but very pleased with the outcome, and that'll make life a lot easier being able to actually shut off the Seacocks for a change. Another project in the engine room was actually done as part of doing the running gear. I had the yard put in new shaft seals. Actually, it was required due to some of the work that had to be done in the shafts, but you'll see here some nice new fancy dripless shafts, looking pretty shiny next to the really dirty engine room that hasn't been painted yet. But big upgrade to this, along with the shaft seals, had the shafts redone, all new cutlass bearings. So the running gear is nice and ready and fresh, ready to go. Another project we had done last year was removal of the old genset. This old genset, I did not even attempt to get it running. The wiring was so bad. I just had it removed. It's going to give me a lot more space to work in the back and try to redo that section. Depending upon what happens with the batteries, we will eventually uh, look at putting another generator in, but for now we're going without a generator. So how do we get to new engines? We knew our engines were old and tired and dirty, but it wasn't until we had the boat pulled last year and we had oil testing done. And then we found out that one of the engines was really bad. Both had issues, but one was severe. And since we were moving the boat to Lake Erie over 3 weeks, we needed to think about it. I had found these engines, as you see here, online with the intention of eventually replacing, but now the time had come sooner. So the first thing I needed to do was just verify that they worked. So luckily the new engines ran up perfectly and the oil tests came back very clean. So now we had to wait for the yard to get around to changing our engines out. So the time did come finally this fall where they were able to start pulling the engines. However, we ran into a problem. Their boom truck, the boom was too tall, so they couldn't get the engines through the door without doing some modification. So they had to pull the heads, which really wasn't ideal. It's going to take some extra time, but they pulled the heads and they finally got them out. In the meantime, I had some prep work to do on the replacement engines, so I went ahead and changed all the hoses, put in oil change, drain piping, and everything else. Ordered new head gaskets for the engines going in, and finally, the engines were out. with the winter coming soon, we had very little time to get in there and do some painting. But we did. We just spent the last couple days up there in Connecticut painting. So I had my first mate, Barb, with me helping to paint. You'll see we rust proofed the metal stringers or whatever you call it, where the engines mount. That's all metal and it was all rusty. So we cleaned those up, uh, did rust protection on them before we started painting. The old fuel tanks are really rusty and put some on there as well. The only thing we were trying to do this trip was really get some bilge paint around the engine and get the metal stringers for the engine mounts cleaned up and painted, waiting for the new engines to come in. So hopefully, as we're speaking, they're actually getting put in by the yard now. But at least we got some cleaning and some prep work done around the engines. The other thing I forgot to mention is last year we also had one of our transmissions rebuilt. So that's the recap on the engine room work for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see our new content when and if, no, we will, when we get new content out in the future. Thanks again for watching.